Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday edition of the Weekend Paranormal Brew Show. I'm one of your hosts, Nighthawk, and we've got Midwest Night Watchers in the house, Grandmaster G. And Dennis, if you're listening, StreamYard is not letting me send you the link. I don't know what's going on, but log into StreamYard directly because you're all set up for that. Maybe that's why. So if you could, please, sir. Anyways, we have a few things to get out of the way before we get started. And I'm getting really tired of the censorship that's going on, folks. You know, that just when you think it's getting better, it's not. Okay, it's getting ridiculously insane out there. So, anyways, copyright disclaimer: this channel may use some copyrighted materials without specific authorization of the owner, but content's use falls under the Fair Use Act of 1976, which is true. We claim the Fair Use Act. Nighthawk High Strange, this podcast channel, claims Fair Use Act of 1976. It's made allowances for the purposes of criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship research, and parody, and other personal use tips and so forth that fall underneath the Fair Use Act. So that being said, all of our advertising music and advertising needs right now are currently through Splice because it's free. So imagine that, old cheap Nighthawk. Anyways, let me get this off with the screen here. Geryl, I don't know, man. I know you can hear me. But can you try sending Dennis a link through Messenger?
Yeah.
And because it keeps on popping up error for me. I don't know why. It keeps telling me to come back later and do it.
That error is why I couldn't be on your podcast. So probably nobody
Nope,
can come on your name.
It says something went wrong.
Yeah, see? I don't understand that. I do not understand that. But Dennis, you have the capabilities of logging on straight through StreamYard. So just Google StreamYard, pop it up, and log on in. So you don't need any. You can make your own credentials for login. So All right. Anyways, I want to say good morning to everybody. Ozzy Sue, Larry. Good to see you, Larry, in the house. All righty. Tombstone, good to see you. Raven Creek Charms. Okay. Let's see. Joey Z, good to see you. Let's see. I guess that's everybody. Okay. Well, maybe that's why. He says my power went off an hour ago. Won't restore until 1 p.m. Okay. All right. Well, looks like Dennis is on the outs. So I hope he gets everything situated. It'll be interesting to see what goes on in the and Tracy just got done typing the same thing I was just gonna say. It's interesting to see what can happen in the chat today with because there were some problems over the last couple of days of people being able to comment. So all right. Good morning, Penny. Good to see you, Penny Van. All right. Let's see here. All right. Okay. We are the main topic today. Well, what we were going to start out as. I mean, we never really have a main topic on the Weekend Paranormal Brew show because we talk about literally everything, Geryl. Uh, so I was going to start off today with tree peepers and shadow people.
Oh.
Yeah, it's growing up the way I grew up on the property. When I was a little kid, I remember playing outdoors, and I remember even in broad daylight seeing these darker than dark images that looked almost 2D um, peeping around the sides of the trees, watching me play. They never really interacted with me except one time, I believe, and it might have not been them. I don't know. Um, I had one time where I was playing outside, and I was on a hill, and I saw one tree peeper go from one tree to another, in a straight line, and then he peeped out around the tree, and from his torso up, I could see him. He looked basically like Gumby, but blacker than black. He was just, really, really 2D image. It wasn't a 3D image. Didn't look thick to me. It looked thin. Um, and I didn't think anything of it. So I went around, turned around, and went back to playing. And the next thing I know, I got picked up and got thrown about 10 feet into the hill. So, like I said, I'm not sure if it was the tree peeper that did it or not, and I'm not sure what people think in the chat about tree peepers and shadow people, but I'm under the belief. Good morning, Jersey 87. Let's see who else is in the house. Juno's in the house. Good to see you, my brother. Karen, good morning, Karen, executive producer Karen. All righty, let's see here. But anyways, my theory on the whole tree peeping thing is that it is probably interdimensional beings, whether it's from the second dimension or whether it's from the fourth dimension. I have no idea. But they have the ability, I believe, to transcend space and time. To say, I don't know how people in the chat feel about that. Or you, G, if you feel a certain way, think a certain thing. But to me, they have always been here, popping in and out of our reality. But they seem to just be like watchers, you know. So it's really really hard to say what they are. Now, do you believe? Do you have any type of theory, I should say, on the tree peepers?
Well, as far as the shadows are the ones that you're talking about, just looking like they're one plane or 2D people. I mean, they have to be dimensional. And you also have like people talk about Sasquatch being in the trees and being cloaked and being peepers. I mean, I know that's two different aspects. And then, of course, you with the Native American heritage, you guys have had shadow watchers forever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's almost like they absorb the shadow of the thing that they're hiding behind, and that's where the term comes from. It's that, and I do believe that they take that ambient energy from the darkness around them, the area that they're trying to hide in, which makes them dark. You know what I'm saying? It makes them darker than the darkness around them, so you can see them. Because they're drawing that ambient energy in from that darkness around them, that shadow, and from the object they're hiding behind, possibly if it's a tree or something, living, or something with some kind of energy in it, electrical or whatnot. So, but they have been around for a very, very long time. Like G said, they have been associated with just watching us, though. They haven't really been associated with interacting. And when I got thrown that day as a child, I was thinking to myself, they have never done that. So either it was something else that was more malevolent than they are, and they were trying to maybe warn me by making themselves visible, which, as a child you don't really care, you just continue playing, unless you're terrified. So, and I wasn't. So, but it's just one of them things that that happens when you're a child, that you don't really question it. You know it's there, and you have a feeling as a child if it's going to harm you or not. And obviously, most of the times out of my experiences growing up, these things never really harmed me. They just watched. It's almost like they were recording history, or just making sure that we were okay, or a certain individual was okay. So, I mean, could it be could it be our ancestors checking on us, from the other side? It very well could be. Maybe they can't, maybe they don't have the ability to come to us in a form that is recognizable for us. Maybe they don't have the energy built up, and that's why they draw the energy, the ambient energy from around them to make them darker than the actual area around them. So, but it's hard to say. Good morning, Val. Good morning, Nanoboss. All right, but it's something that I grew up with. It's something that I learned to live with. I mean, obviously there's there's no such thing as privacy when you're growing up, or even as an adult, because they're always around. They're always peeking at you and making sure, seeing what's going on. Which kind of does make me think maybe they are ancestors, maybe they aren't. I mean, there's several different theories on it, but I'm just interested to see what people in the chat have to say about it too.
It depends on what plane they come from. If they're dimensional, like say if we're in a 3D world and somebody from the fourth dimension comes into us, they would look different than us, obviously. I mean, whether they're a a ghost or but the shadow people, like you said, they look like they're only 2D. So that would to me would be a dimension below us coming in to look, or we're entering their world and they're looking at us like we're strange. I don't know.
Right. I mean, could they possibly be? Could tree peepers be shadow people? I mean, that's possible. Maybe shadow people are the same exact thing as tree peepers. I mean, there's just, but for some reason we've labeled them two different things throughout the history of knowing that they're there. So, and I've I associate tree peepers as peeping around trees because that's the way I grew up. But it's very well they could be shadow people too. I don't think I've ever heard of a case of shadow people being malevolent. More curious than anything. How about you?
Right. I mean, you always see the videos or whatever in the cemeteries or whatever, and they're peeking out of, mortuaries or the monuments. You just see the little bit of a, just kind of like what you're saying. They look like they're 2D. There's it's like a shadow on a wall, but it's peering around through a doorway or behind a tombstone, or like you said, behind a tree. I wonder if it's the tree ones or elementals or something, because I don't know if they actually have a body or a form, or are they like a shadow person.
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know if they have actual like a form like we have. Some people call our form an avatar. That it's not real. But believe me, every time I get cut open or or have something removed, I feel like it's real. So it's not. I don't believe it's an avatar. Sorry, guys, I really don't. I think that there's an energy within us, but I don't believe our bodies are avatars like you see on TV or in game systems and stuff. So, good morning, Miriam. Good morning, Scott. But yeah, it's Nana. Hey Nana, I'm gonna send you a link if you can. Maybe you can come on. Let me see if I can get you to come on this morning. I'm gonna see if I can get a link here. I'll send it in Messenger.
Yeah, just like Marty said, and you've talked about it before, about Sasquatch, whatever, using the elementals to use the trees or rocks as portals.
Nope.
But I don't know if I don't know what the elementals actually look like. I don't know, we talk about fays and fairies, that are elementals and use trees and stuff, but I don't know if that's the same people that are actually, the shadow people.
Right, exactly. Um, it won't let me send a link to her either. So it's definitely within StreamYard. It's not anything to do with power outages. So it's definitely within
If you
StreamYard. So
if you bring that link up and just copy the text and send it through Messenger itself instead of using StreamYard, it'll work. Because I've had to do that before.
why don't we go ahead and just try to put it in the chat? Let me see if I can put it in the chat. See if it'll allow me to do that. Won't let me do that either. Come on now. Seriously? Won't let me do that either. Why don't you give it a shot? Let me get on my phone and try it and see. All right, let's see here. Yeah, this is getting to be ridiculous. It's like the powers that be don't want us to invite anybody on to talk about subject matter anymore.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, makes you really wonder just what's going on with the controlling and and the manipulation of us over the years. And this is going to be probably in the form of criticism and parody. So I'm covered under the fair use. But it is literally ridiculous what we have to go through to get information out and subject matter out to our listeners and our viewing family. It's absolutely absurd that we've got to fight every minute of the day to get some kind of word out. So
let me get off screen real quick, and I'm going to try something, then I'll be right back.
Okay. This is absolutely ridiculous, people. I mean, it's hard enough when you try to do things to keep information out and to talk about the paranormal, and all that. It won't even let me do it on my phone. So that I found out. But to actually take and try to, yes, I know the invite button's on the bottom of the screen. I know that, and that's what I'm trying, and it's not doing it. So, and it's not letting me send it to anybody. So I'm just glad nobody's having a problem with the chat right now. Yeah, Karen, you are right. Great silencing. That's a way to silence the voices. Absolutely. Absolutely. Any updates to StreamYard would automatically update with the program that I have. So it would automatically do it whenever I log on. And it didn't do it today. So, but anyways, getting back to what I was talking about, Tracy and I, we have had some really weird stuff happen to us in our lifetimes. Some very, very heartbreaking stuff too, heart wrenching, stuff that would basically shatter most people. But yet, for some reason, there's something inside of us that keeps on going, keeps on pushing us through the struggle, and and pushing us through the heartache. Good morning, Roger. Good to see you on here. Is that why these tree peepers and shadow people watch us? Because they know that we're being tested maybe in this life, in this body, through this 3D world? Could be. I mean, that's a thought that they are just watching to see our reactions to things and notating it, but and not being able to interact. That's the main thing. Not being able to interact, which is a clue to what they are. It's not a good morning, Irene. Good morning, or good evening. That's where you are. But that's all it's really is to us right now. Is it's all clue work. That we try to descend. Determine certain aspects of certain things that we see or interact with on our daily lives, and we try to interpret it. And our minds, maybe if we had more of a percentage of capability to use in our minds, in our brain, we'd be able to discern what these things are, or interact with them on more of a level that they're used to. But until we have that capability and find that other percentage of brain function we need, I think it's like just guesswork. It really is. Well, what do you think, G?
I sent it from my other tablet and copied the link and sent it to Dennis and Marty. I don't know if they'll get it in Messenger or not.
Okay.
But the link worked for me when I clicked on it.
That is too weird. Because I went on my cell phone and it wouldn't do it for me either. I've got a friend that I'm helping out with an investigation here locally, and he actually just sent me a text message. Huh. He says, last night my girlfriend was here by herself while I went, and he lives out in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. Um, he says, my girlfriend was here by herself while I went into town. And when I got back, she told me she heard a voice that sounded like a woman saying, Mom, Mom, coming from outside. And it really freaked her out.
Wow.
So that, that's something that's an ongoing investigation that I've been checking into and checking in with him every chance I get, and it just seems to be developing more and more. And he is one of the properties that have a lot of Bigfoot activity too. So, but I'm not going to disclose any location because I don't want to give him any problems. So, but Irene says I had an interaction with a spirit who caused accidents on the street, and the other day a person riding a bicycle got into an accident in the same place my husband got hit by a car last year in November, and I took pictures at dusk, and it's really creepy. Huh.
There's I believe it's Marty. The link must have worked
Okay.
for her.
All right. Let's bring Marty on.
Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. You're not letting us see you, huh?
Oh, I don't even have a lick of makeup on, so sorry guys. I know
Oh, neither
y'all were
does
talking.
G and I. So.
I know I didn't get a chance to freshen up this morning either.
Well, I
Just
woke
pull
up a
the beard
little
up.
late. Uh, I know y'all were talking about avatars and that we're not avatars, but sorry guys, I had to throw one up. So
Okay, that's
Yeah, how do
fine.
we know it's really you?
I know, right? I
Oh,
don't know. I could be a
The
clone. I'm not
the
sure.
voice sounds like a familiar spirit, but I'm not really sure about.
Well, yeah, you guys were talking about, like the tree peekers and the shadow people and all that. But, I really have. I've heard that a lot of interdimensional beings use trees as portals. So
right.
I don't, it's kind of strange. Like I have only seen one shadow person, and it's always been here in my house. And I have to say, he looks very 3D. I mean, he does, but and I don't know. I don't know what he is. I think that he is possibly someone that I've known that's crossed over. So it's kind of strange for me. I'm not 100% sure. He doesn't seem to be. He just kind of like pops his head out of like this one bathroom I have, and he just kind of like looks at me from time to time when I'm doing shows. And so I don't know. I feel like, but shadow people are so known to be, you know, um, harassing. They like to harass people, and they're very scary, and I've heard that they are dangerous. I mean, there's so many different things
Yeah.
being said about them, so I'm not sure
Yeah.
really 100% what they are.
The thing that when I was growing up, though, I interacted with shadow people all the time, and to me, the tree peepers and the shadow people were different. It's like you said, the shadow people are more 3D in depth. There's more of a depth to them in
Mm-hmm.
their darker than dark color, as where the tree peepers look more like. I mean, the only real way I could describe it is like a Gumby character, that's
Yeah.
painted in real jet black,
Yep.
and and just kind of peeking around the sides of a tree. Um, I don't know if there's any difference. Maybe it's just a shadow person that's not coming all the way through, or maybe they're seen in a different, because most of the times I see the tree peepers are outside was during the daylight hours. I never saw them at night. So, and
Okay.
it was broad daylight and full sun, and you could see them running from tree to tree, and and that way, but they were fast. I mean, they were really fast to where your eyes just really had to adjust to try to catch them to move from tree to tree. So, but
Well,
yeah, I just don't know if they're the same thing or not.
I'm sitting there thinking about the dimensional part of it, and like shadow people, we normally see them on the wall. Obviously, it's like our shadow being casted on the wall. They have to stay in that plane to be 2D or whatever. That's the only plane they can be on is on that wall. But when they peek out through a doorway or behind a tree, then that gives them substance. So that would be more than a 2D. But you'd have to be able to kind of walk around to be able to really tell, how much of a depth they have, like if it's a regular image of a person peeking out, or if
Hmm.
it's just a flat, like an image.
Yeah, that
Right,
makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense.
right, yeah, yeah, that
But
does.
I think earlier, Geryl, you said that you thought maybe they could possibly have something to do with elementals, which is a really valid, theory on it as well, which would make sense as to why they would be using trees and maybe they're, earth elementals. Um, and that's an interesting
Well,
road to me too.
you, you, Marty, back in the old days, or at least of my people, um, we had legends of Bigfoot, making that noise, that tree hitting noise, and calling forth the elementals out of the trees to give them a hand to hide from us. Um,
Mm.
you know, so maybe those are the elementals of the trees that are peeking out and taking a look at us.
Interesting. Well, I've also heard people talk about. I don't know if you guys have had Tom Springer on your show, but he
Oh
he's
yeah.
yeah, he's one of the things that he had said that because he was before his abilities started kind of like showing up in his life and it just happening for him. He used to be a paranormal investigator, and he said that that they went on a case. They were on a case, and the people were saying that their basement was like haunted, and they would hear noises and all these things. And they went down to the basement, and all it was an earth elemental that was trying to heal the land because they had built this house on the land, and and there he was, they're hearing all these noises and bangs and this and that, and it was because this earth elemental was upset and trying his best to heal the land again. So, I think a lot of times we discount, the theory or the speculation that things could be elementals instead of any other little, cryptid or whatever. I think they really get overlooked.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree 100% with that. Um, Karen Peterson says the shadow figures that come into my home have provided me with a warnings of things to come that I will find upsetting. I never felt fear from them. That's interesting. That
That
she
is,
never felt fear from them.
yeah.
Um,
And maybe they
So,
are just harbingers. Maybe they're just here to help us or warn us, or like Marty said, they're here to with a certain task. Whether it's if they're elementals, they're here. They're part of the earth. They're part of the trees, nature, all that. So
Right.
maybe they are trying to come out and say stuff to us, but they just don't have the capability necessarily to talk or communicate the way that we perceive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's true. That's true. And a lot of people don't understand that everything, being Native American, I'm sure Marty knows this too, that, we believe everything has spirit and everything has energy. And I know you and Jane know this through your interactions with everything too on a daily basis. Um, but the whole purpose of us living what we call the red road or a walk in beauty is to respect that part of our lives and our interactions with them. Every time we lay tobacco on water to thank the water spirits, every time we lay tobacco on a tree, the base of a tree, and thank it for its wood to warm us by the fire. Every time we slay a deer for feeding and clothing us, um, we always lay tobacco on a deer and say a prayer saying thank you to the spirit. If more people lived their lives in that manner with that respect for all things, can you imagine what some of the reports would be with tree peepers and shadow people then? I mean,
Oh yeah.
if they're elementals, they're going to be the most happy they've ever been in their lives, being treated with so much respect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. I mean, and from what I understand, all elementals, they do. It's like they have jobs, right? They do have jobs. And I think that it does upset them because they are here to take care of the earth. They are here to nurture and cleanse and, you know, um, just work on everything that we're just destroying. I mean, we really are destroying so much of this beautiful world we live in. And I could imagine they've got to be frustrated. I definitely think that they are not that they are, sentient beings. I don't believe that they're just like, you know, um a figment of our imagination. I think that they absolutely 100% are, real and trying to make our world a better place. And I can't imagine the frustration that they feel. And you're right, giving back that respect, when you do have to build or you do have to take a life, to feed your family, whatever, it is, it's important to have that respect and be thankful that the earth in some way has given something so that you can survive another day.
Exactly. The provision of substance to survive as a human being
Mm-hmm.
plays a big role, but it plays an even bigger role when you are able to interact with these elementals and respect them in a manner that they should be respected. Because they are older than mankind, that is for sure, and we don't really even know how old they are. Um, so
I would
Oh
assume
yeah.
as old as the earth is.
Mm-hmm. Ancient.
Now, do you think, William, you could probably answer this. Marty, you may know. Now, we talk about the shadow people or elementals, are the ones that appear in the trees or the peepers or the rock people, shadows and elementals, are they the same people or are they like aliens where they have different species or races?
hmm, that's a loaded
Good.
question there.
That's a really deep question for sure. Wow. I've never.
I mean,
Well.
me personally, I would think the ones that come out of rocks are different than the ones that would come out of trees, or even the spirits of the fields or the spirits of the meadows. You know, I think they would all be different. I don't know.
Well, I think a lot of confusion lies within just what people label an elemental as. You can chalk up the Fae as elementals too,
Mhm.
and you can
Right.
chalk up the water babies as elementals too. Um, so I would categorize any entity coming from within a granite boulder or some kind of rock, or the water as an elemental. I
Mhm.
wouldn't classify them as alien. I would classify them as an elemental, whether they're fey or water baby or whatever, tree peepers. Um, to me, those are elementals. Now, when you're talking about something that's changing its imaging, um, and I tell a lot of people when they see, cryptid sightings and stuff, when they see the ones with the red eyes, stay away from them. Stand strong in your faith, but stay away from them because they're not what they appear. Okay, they're not what they appear because the eyes are the windows to the soul. Okay, the red eyes mean that there's no soul. Okay. And this is from all kinds of oral tradition that I've learned over the years and interacting with them myself. I had one time where we had a Sasquatch that was in the swamp area of the pond area around our house, and it stayed within a certain boundary of where it was allowed to come out of, but it was every bit of 9 feet tall with red glowing eyes and was standing next to a tree, and the eyes just glowed so much that it was like if you stared at them too long, they burned you got a burning sensation in your pit of your chest, like your soul was on fire. You know, um, I classify any cryptid with the red eyes and all that, or being having the ability to manifest a cloaking form as to being a shapeshifter. I don't think that they could very well be alien, from where they come from. That I mean, to me, if you're not from the land that you live on, you're alien. So to me, Europeans are aliens. You know what I'm saying? That kind of a thing. So they could come from under the ground. They can come from the sky. They can come from the water. To me, that makes them alien because they're alien to me. Okay.
Mhm.
So I would classify them as shape shifting aliens. So I don't know how the
Well,
rest.
I just brought up the alien aspect just as far as because we have breakdowns of different species, you know, whether Palladians or avian, you know, or reptilian. That's all I was asking. Do you think the rock elementals are different than the tree elementals, or are they all the same?
Uh,
That was my question. It wasn't to get deep into alien thing or
right now, I don't know, Marty. I, I would say that there's just like with humankind, there can be different types of humans. There should be different types of and elementals. Um, some people describe them as being tiny, like little people, but shadow form. Some people describe them being looking like trees and walking.
Mhm.
I mean, some people describe them looking as fey and having even the pointed ears. I mean, it's just it depends. To me, leprechauns are elementals because if you think about it, they're of the earth. And they're all about the gold within the earth, which is a mineral, so that makes
right.
them kind of an elemental too at heart. So I don't
Yeah.
know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, in my, again, in my opinion, I say that a lot. Again, because none of us know like everything, and I certainly don't. But from what I what I feel it is. I feel like that there's an elemental for every element, right? Like the
Right.
earth. And for me, earth would mean rocks, soil, trees, anything that's of the earth. Then there's fire, there's wind, there's water. I mean, I think that fae and I don't know, leprechauns or troll kind of looking, thing. I definitely believe that they can also be elementals too. I mean, I feel like, there's the water sprites and the water babies. I mean, I feel like those could be water elementals and fae could be, either wind or earth elementals. It's just I think that some of them just get these really bad raps. And I agree 100% about the sizes. I've heard so many different descriptions of, them being very tiny to huge, gigantic, 15, 20 feet tall. I mean, I've heard people's accounts. So you just,
Hmm.
I think that there's so much out there that we totally just don't understand. And I think that until we start focusing on the simplest of things like recycling and stop this over developing of all of our land, and until we can just do things like that and take care of our environment that we just daily live in, even at the smallest level as just recycling, we have to somehow change our mindset, change the direction of the way that our world is going, so that we can slow down this process that we're literally killing ourselves every day. And I
Yep.
feel like we have to start somewhere, no matter how big, how small. We can all start someplace.
Exactly. Exactly. Everybody around here probably thinks I'm crazier than crap because I'll go out, I'll go outside and I'll literally sit on the ground and I made these gardening boxes out of wooden pallets that I showed on Facebook, and I have like flowers planted on the ends of them, and eight
Hmm.
tomato plants within the center, and then I have another one I built that has lettuce and carrots and kale and all that on it, and I've got potato plants that I planted. I got a blueberry bush. I mean, I got all kinds of stuff I planted. And I go out and I'll talk to them. I'll sit on the ground and I will talk to them,
Hmm.
just like I'm talking to you and G. It's like,
Hmm.
but people look at that as being strange. But when you interact with the world around you, and I mean truly, truly, genuinely interact with it, it's going to open up so many possibilities that it's beyond belief.
Oh,
It really
yes.
is. So, but yeah, I can imagine what people think when they're driving past and say, "Oh God, look at that crazy old Indian outside," talking to a damn tomato plant.
Well,
No, no, I think it's amazing, and I think that we all should. I mean, I literally just yesterday there. So if I can't get out in the woods, right? If for whatever reason I'm not able to get out, and I need to ground, the place I go to is this place called Flamingo Road Nursery. And I was there yesterday and I uploaded a video just literally right before you guys invited me on, and I uploaded it to my channel just so everybody can kind of see why I go there. Like it's filled with plants and gardening, everything to do with gardening, and they have it's just amazing, and when I go there, it just recharges me. It's like being in that space where I'm like absolutely just feeling everything, touching everything, talking to everything. Just being in that space is just pure joy for me. And if I can't be out in the woods, that's where I go. That's my happy
Exactly.
place, right? you
Exactly.
know
now, now yesterday, me and Jane was working in the garden, and I said a prayer, for tearing up the earth, because it was starting to heal itself. Because we didn't really do a garden last year. We kind of did what you did, William. We kind of had above ground planters and tried to use the plastic containers for tomato plants and stuff, but this didn't work very well. So we went back to the old traditional garden. Well, I was getting ready to till it up, so I said a prayer. I'm sorry that I'm going to disturb your soil and stuff. So I'm hoping that appeases them. And
Absolutely. I'm
Right.
sure it will. Because, people talk about, and I know Tom Springer talked about it too, like when you're having that, issue that could possibly be related to an elemental, the best thing to do is to appease them, like plant a tree, and say, "Hey, this is for you, this is." As a matter of fact, the other night when I was on Blondes and Booze, Krista was talking about a place that they went to, and she saw these like troll looking things, and they just literally couldn't figure out what was going wrong, and a lot of the animals were dying, and a lot of things were happening, and so they literally were, someone gave them great advice: go and plant an apple tree, and you let them know that that apple tree is for them, and once it starts bearing fruit, don't ever take anything from that tree. You give it to them, let it be theirs, and you never ever take from it. So I feel like, they can be given offerings, or things to give back to them. I think that's definitely something that we can all do, right? I mean, when I go hiking, when I see trash out there, I pick it up. I bring it
Yeah.
home with me, and I dispose of it properly. I make sure that it's in better condition when I leave than when I found it.
absolutely,
Yeah. True. Very true. And it goes back to saying, that old saying, walk in beauty, walk
Yep.
with reverence for everything, respect everything as you walk. I mean, I'm
Yep.
not saying, don't worry about stepping on an ant or anything like that. I'm just saying, you know, give a certain respect to the world around you and it'll come back 10 times fold.
Oh, a hundred
Um,
percent.
so, but it's, um, and my wife Tracy here says, I saw a lot of shadow people as a child. I had an attic bedroom and our neighborhood sat above Lake Erie, not even a mile from the peninsula, where there was a UFO Bigfoot sighting as well as the same area. So
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
yep,
and that just and I know the UFO Bigfoot sighting that she's talking about too. It happened in 1972, I believe, um, and it was really a big news at the time because they closed the peninsula down, and the peninsula is where they have like all their beaches and stuff for Erie, PA, off of Lake Erie and the bay, and they closed it completely down and searched the whole peninsula for the Bigfoot, and they come out they couldn't find anything. So, and they removed apparently the tree that the Bigfoot was standing next to, the pine tree that was
Hmm.
about 18 inches in diameter. They removed that entire tree, root bulb and all, from
Wow.
its location. Yeah. So that shows you how in depth they were to finding out what happened. But
wow,
you almost have to wonder if ley lines play a part into all this too, this heightened
Oh,
activity,
yeah.
and
Good
where
point.
these elementals are most active. So
Yeah. Good point. Good point. I mean, and I think I even talked about it on the show that I did with Geryl and Jane. There, there were a couple of people that had some strange encounters. And I was on a private stream with them, and I was they were they were asking me questions about it, and we were just talking about it, and then I just started getting these two beings came to me, and they were like, I'm not gonna say, even though they seemed to be alien in appearance, I don't believe they were aliens. I believe that there were interdimensional beings. I was picking up on several portals also in the area. And the interesting thing was there was Sasquatch involved as well in the story. And the thing was is the Sasquatch were kind of there in a protective mode over these people that were
Yep.
stuck in
Yeah.
this area. And these beings told me that area was given to them. By who? They never said. By what? They never said. But this area had been given to them. But the Sasquatch were there in a very protective mode. They
Yeah, the
were
body.
there. They were there to to watch what comes in and out of the portals. They were there to it was almost like they have a job, just like an elemental. It was kind of interesting. I'd never that was the first time I ever channeled a Sasquatch. It was kind of strange, but they absolutely were there in protection mode and watching these beings and whatever else comes in and out of these portals. So I definitely feel like there can be interdimensional beings, obviously, in addition to a lot of the elementals that are out there that are just kind of flowing in and out of these portals in these certain areas. So that's another weird twist to it all too. It's so interesting to hear so many different people's all their different encounters and things they have seen, and it's amazing to have platforms like you know you guys' platforms where we can all come together and talk about the truth, because there's so
Hmm.
much out there and we have to start sharing so that we can start
Exactly.
kind of, connecting the dots and putting the puzzle pieces together for everybody.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. Yeah, it's amazing too, and what amazes me, like you said, you had a feeling that the Bigfoot were almost like an elemental, but with native legends all around the United States and Canada, we've always known that they walked in both worlds. We
Mm,
always said that they walked in both worlds, the spiritual
yeah,
world and the physical world. So
yeah,
maybe they could be classified as an elemental too. We don't know, um,
hmm,
because they can be so flesh and bone, that you
hmm,
know that they're physically here and make manifesting a presence, here and interacting with people, whether it be
yeah,
good or bad. Maybe their interactions, though, and the same with all elementals, are interacting in certain aggressive ways to change our mindset or to change our activity that we're doing at the time, because something bad is going to happen minutes from then. You know what I'm saying?
right, right,
So maybe they're actually getting aggressive to protect us instead of trying to harm us.
hmm,
Or when they slap the side of a house, maybe somebody's thinking something negative, or
yeah,
about something negative,
hmm,
and they're trying to wake us up, like smacking us in the back of the head, saying, "Hey, quit talking like that or quit thinking
hmm.
like that."
Oh yeah, oh
Um,
yeah.
I mean, we
100%.
don't really know, but that's just one theory that could be kicked around. But I also I had a lecture, an engaged speaking thing at a Bigfoot conference last year, and as I spoke, I noticed a young man, probably 40 years old, sitting in one of the chairs about midway back, and he was like getting real fidgety in his seat and agreeing with everything I was saying. And after the end of the lecture at the speaking, he came up to me and he says, "Mr. Nighthawk, can I pull you aside?" And I said, "Sure." I said, "What's up?" and he goes, "Well, everything you said about the national parks is true." He goes, "I used to work for them for 10 years." He worked as a park ranger. And he said, "There are so many strange things back in the deep woods of the national parks that the park rangers have to limit people to going to. And the reason for these disappearances and stuff, of missing people, he said
Yeah.
there's all kinds of stuff going on. He says it's not just Bigfoot and Dogman. He says it's all kinds of stuff. It's UFO activity. He said there's creatures there in them woods that we can't even describe, that we can't even label, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, I mean, he went in on in depth about this, and he was really, his voice was shaky, and his hands were shaking as he was talking to me, and he revealed quite a bit to me. Um, and he even showed me pictures of him at these locations, of where he cited the stuff in his, national, park uniform. And as proof, he said, because I carry these pictures around because nobody believes me. He goes, I've told so many people that talk about
Yeah.
this stuff. And he said, you're the first one that I've found that actually says everything that I want to say. So, but yeah,
Wow.
he said there's so much going on that we have no idea.
Well,
No
I definitely I agree with that 100%. And I've had people share things with me. It's like I want to talk about this one particular um conversation that I had with those two, that going back to that story I just said a minute ago. One, I'm trying to be very careful here because I don't want to. I never, if someone speaks to me and talks to me in confidence, I try really, 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 I try not to ever really divulge much um, in regards to who they are and whatnot. But here's what I will say: they were in an area by mistake, and this area that they were in, they were there for hours upon hours upon hours, and they could not get anybody to come and assist them with their vehicle issue that they were having in this area. And they had, no cell service. And thankfully they did have like an OnStar kind of like a situation. And this person that they were connected to via the satellite, they for hours calling every police, every single entity that should have been able to get up there to get to them, to rescue them, to help them get down this mountainous area. And we're taught once they finally got one police officer showed up, and that one police officer was like, we got to get the what out of Dodge now. So I felt like from the listening to them and talking to them, it was like people knew where they were, even though they were lost. People knew where they were at and didn't want to go. They didn't want to help them. There was something about that area that they knew, these first responders and everybody they were trying to get up there to get them help were like, nope, 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 no, thank you, can't do that, not going there. So they all know, they they
Yeah.
they they do, they have all of this information that they're not allowed to share. And even though this one person showed up to assist them, he still didn't give them any specific information as to what the hell was really going on around them.
Mhm. Yeah. Have you guys noticed at all about the way some of these locations where these tragedies happen or these traumatic things happen to people? Um, what they're named. I've noticed a lot of them have the word devil in them, or something along that line, or Hell's
Or
Gate, or you know,
or monster,
yeah.
or yes, something. Yes, I definitely agree with that.
It's
Yeah, because
almost
it
like,
makes you.
yeah. Go
I
ahead.
was just saying, this like what you were saying. It makes you wonder. Has there been stuff happening in those areas for as long as we can remember, and people have always associated, the devil or
Hmm.
monsters or whatever creature is there with those spots, whether it's Devil's Canyon or whatever they name it, going down through history.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, it's gotten to the point where I know that a lot of people in the chat will probably agree with me that they've probably noticed firsthand that a lot of this activity has kicked up over the last 10 years. It's come to a point where it's really, really, it's at its apex right now. And who knows where this is going to go in the next year,
Mm,
with
yes.
all this paranormal activity going on. Um, Tom Springer, he's a good one. I've had him on here several times. He is literally like a little brother to me. I have basically worked with him on the Native American aspect of his life, of his bloodline,
Hmm.
and he's kind of like my Padawan.
He's
So,
amazing.
yeah, yeah, he's an awesome man. Love him to death, I really do, and his wife Nicole too. She's awesome. Um, but getting back to the whole thing, what he's described too with the elementals is pretty much what we all describe. That it's almost like elementals will manifest themselves in whatever form they want to take,
Hmm.
whether it's a 40-foot tall tree looking thing, or a 10-foot tall Bigfoot,
Hmm.
or a 2.5 to 3 inch tall shadow figure that looks like a little person.
Hmm.
There's been reports of stick figures trying to carry off people as they sleep in some of these national parks.
Hmm.
Um, and like several of them at a time, 30, 40 of them at a time. There was a report that this guy told me about in Yosemite, where there was this two couples that were camping, and the one couple was sleeping in the back of their camper truck. It was just like a regular cap, with sleeping bags in it. Um, and the other two were sleeping on the ground near the campfire. And the husband by the campfire woke up because he heard something, and he was laying there, and he saw his wife's sleeping bag move a little bit. So he turned, and he was watching, and he said her sleeping bag was like 3 inches off the ground, and here were all these little stick figures underneath her, supporting her, trying to carry her off while she was sleeping in the sleeping bag. He said
Wow.
he woke up, and this is what the park ranger told me. He said when he woke up, he stood up and he just started screaming and yelling, and these things just scattered like mice,
Oh
when,
man.
and he said
Whoa.
he said there must have been 30 or 40 of them.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah, she had no idea they were trying to carry her off.
Mm.
Yeah, like, can you imagine, like, sometimes, like, when we're out there, like, because it's happened to me where I have, I don't know, I want to say they're dreams, right? I want to say dreams, but yet they feel so real. You know what I mean? Like, and you just never know what the heck you're. I'm telling you, people don't realize how many more things that are out there other than just cryptids. And I put that in air quotes. You know what I mean? Like, there's so
Yeah,
many. We just don't know who they are, what their thought is, what it is they're trying to accomplish, but they're there. They are out
Yep.
there. I mean, and because we don't have a concept, right? We have no, there's nothing in our normal daily, okay, like okay, what I'm trying to say is like, okay, somebody from the 1800s, if they saw us today playing with our cell phones and constantly looking into this screen that we're always looking into, they have no concept what that is, right? So
Yeah.
it's the same thing with us when we go out and we see something and it's strange and it's odd and it doesn't fit because we don't know what to call it because we have no concept and there's no way for us to even consider in our brains what the heck it could be. So, wow, that story's amazing. Dennis, hi.
Hello.
Hi,
I'm one
Dennis.
of those spooky. I'm one of those spooky things out there. Okay, that's me.
Well, I will take your kind of spooky every day of the week.
Uh, Well, it's been quite a morning over here. That my power went out,
Oh my
and they
goodness.
and first it went out about like 30 minutes before I was supposed to come on here, and uh, and nobody could send me a link for some reason. I finally got Geryl. I finally got Geryl's link. And then the power came back on when they said it wasn't going to be on till like 1 o'clock, and now it's back on. I don't know. It's weird.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Don't jinx yourself.
William had trouble getting me a link today too. So I hear ya.
Uh, that's what we put up with high strangeness. Okay, that's what it is.
Bring it on.
That's why
Bring
the
it
channels.
on.
Yeah.
Yep, that's why the channel's named High Strangeness.
That's right.
Yep.
Now, what do you guys
I'm no
think about this?
stranger. I'm no stranger to high strangeness. Let's put
Uh,
it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
me and Jane were out in the backyard, and we have all kinds of lilac bushes and all kinds of trees and stuff, that we planted or has already been here. But last year there was one branch that had one leaf just twisting, but none of the other ones were moving. So we were like, okay, what's going on? We talked to it, we tried, whether it's an elemental or whatever, but it just kept twisting back and forth, but none of the other branches or leaves were moving. There was no wind necessarily that would, I mean, it would have affected all of them, I would have thought, but just that one.
It was doing the beauty pageant hello wave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
It
was
was just,
trying to communicate with you there, Gerald. I've seen that happen though. I've actually seen that happen several times. And there would be no wind at all. I mean, absolutely no breeze. And but I'm gonna tell you something, okay? These are living things we're talking about here. They're actual living things, and they have a spirit. They have a force of life about them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we've got to remember. These things with that force of life can communicate with us on occasion. You know.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
so we didn't know if it was an elemental or if it was, reaching out to us or trying to warn us or saying
I
hi, or
think
I mean, we couldn't get anything, a feeling of what it was doing other than we know it was acting very different than everything else around us.
I think that is
Yeah.
what the old timers, the ancient people, call the elemental spirits, the spirits of life that are all around us, the unseen.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. We noticed today, going outside today when we were walking Jacob this morning, that our one tree that's a pine tree by the corner of the house, one of the branches is, it's kind of weird to describe. It's almost like a hand now. It's almost like it's hinged at a certain spot, but the hinge is kind of like when you take and put like say a rope around a tree and a tree grows around the rope. It looks like that. Okay.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
But the branch, every now and then there'll be no wind and you'll see the branch do this, you know.
yeah.
Huh.
So it's really really unique. And we noticed it this morning, and it's really cool what and to me it's almost like the spirits of these objects are communicating more. They're letting us know whether we're going about it the right way or the wrong way. And hopefully we all go about it the right way. So
Mhm. Well, I'll mention this, throw it out there for everybody. I had an interesting case one time years ago where a lady called me. She got in touch with me and she said, Mr. Carl, do you think trees have spirits and maybe evil spirits about them? I said, well, it's a possibility. The spirits can reside in a lot of different things. And she said, well, there's a tree on my property that, just gives me the creeps every time I go out around it. It's a big oak tree, said, and it's dead, like almost dead. And said, my neighbors, when I moved in here, told me a man committed suicide by hanging himself from this tree.
Uh-oh.
And I said, well, that's not good. That's not good at all. And I said, it's not only got a bad influence around it, it's been a traumatic thing going on around it. And
it
she actually sent me a picture of the tree. And so I told her what to do. I mean, how to salt it and do water around it and do the necessary thing. I won't go into that right now, but the necessary things that you have to do for that. And she called me back like 3 months later, and we had some bad storms come through after that. She called me back about 3 months and said, Mr. Carl, that my tree problem is solved. And she said lightning struck that tree and completely destroyed it.
hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty
Oh,
crazy.
yeah, I wonder if it's possible though, if you have a tree like that, because everybody's seen trees that really creep you out. The ones that are all bent, all weird, and look like
Mhm.
something out of a Halloween movie. You know, um, I wonder if we, as a energy, whether a light energy, have the ability to take something that we presume is dark or is I don't want to say malevolent, but I mean just dark in nature, and try to change it. You know what I mean? Try to almost like when you talk to plants. How you boost them up
Or
energy wise.
cast. We sort of
Yeah,
cast our energy on it, you might
right.
say.
I wonder if we can change the the view of that object. You know what I mean? With our own energy.
Well, I will tell you an interesting story down here in Florida. So there's an area and they call it the Devil's Tree. Interesting, the name again, right? When we
Oh,
talking earlier, the devil, right? It's called the
yeah.
Devil's Tree.
Yep.
So there was I can't remember. I can't remember the year, and I want to say it was in the 70s, maybe 60s, 70s. There was a police officer down here he would take people to this tree in the middle of nowhere, and he would, he was a serial killer, right? Well, people would go looking for this tree and they would want to do like satanic like rituals and things like that at the tree. Well, not everybody knew where the tree was. So there are two trees. There's the original tree where all this horrible tragedies took place, and then there's the other tree that they call it the tourist, like a tourist devil's tree, where now we have, well, not me, but Matt has gone out there a couple times and he gets more paranormal, supernatural craziness that happens at the tree that everybody, quote unquote, thinks is the real devil's tree, because people don't know where the original one is, and they go there to the other one and they do all kinds of satanic rituals and stuff like that. So
Wow.
Well, yeah,
they
well,
made it
it's
that way.
interesting. It's interesting that a lot of these trees are often included in satanic rituals, by the way, and a lot of
Yeah.
these things that they do. And I think that goes back to the Druids who worship trees, by the way. Uh,
Mhm.
they venerate, especially the oak tree, as being a spirit of their god, so to speak. And I just wonder, that's probably why a lot of these rituals take place around supposed trees like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, if you do a tree ritual, or you incorporate a tree in the ritual, it would make sense to pick out an oak tree because the oak was not even a part of this land um, until the Knights Templar and the Druids brought the oak tree over, and they actually have been scattered throughout North America now over the last several hundred years, because of the birds dropping the seeds around the the country, and oaks have been
Uh-huh.
growing up periodically on land. But yeah, the oak tree was never a part of this world
And
until
William,
so.
they've been finding a lot of evidence that the Templars have been over here long before they thought possible. And that's an interesting point you bring up because that is sort of an invasive species. It wasn't supposed to be here.
Yep.
You know?
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would think that if nefarious and evil stuff happens in one spot, that just like in your culture, William, you have holy grounds that that you respect and tread lightly, and you also have evil grounds, for whatever reason, whether we cast that energy or the evil deeds mark that area, and it's always going to be that way. I don't know. It's kind of weird talking about that devil's tree. I mean, we obviously, like Marty said, we've created that area to be an evil area.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. It's amazing too to me that the oak tree has so rapidly spread across this North America. Um, I'm not sure if it's down towards South America yet, but it probably could be eventually. Um, but the power, that the Druids took upon the oak tree, like Dennis was saying, you know, they used to smack the oak tree with a stick to bring out the elemental within the tree, and to have the elemental help them with whatever they were working with, whatever spell they were trying to cast, or you know anything they were trying to do, spiritually wise. So if the Druids felt that strongly about elementals within a tree, um, what's to say that there aren't in every tree a spirit of that tree? Anybody that thinks that the world is just what we see with our blinders on is not looking at it responsibly enough in an analytical type of a way, because there's so much going on around us. Like Des and I always say, we see on a very, very small scale of the visual spectrum, you know
So true. So
and
true.
so there's things happening around us every day that we don't see and that we don't hear. So
That's the world of the unseen that's all around us. And like I said earlier, I believe that all these things that have a life force are active. We just don't see it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They're more active than what we can see because they're the unseen.
Mm-hmm.
yep,
Yeah,
exactly, exactly.
imagine what kind of a world you would have if you were so spiritually enlightened or higher consciousness, that you could actually see all the elementals or the fields coming alive, the meadows and the things that were in the meadows or the trees. And just think if they were just like you and me, just standing there talking, having a conversation. Just imagine that kind of a world.
Yep,
Uh-huh.
exactly, exactly.
You'd be like Dr. Doolittle. You could talk to the animals.
This is true.
Well, that's not too far off. That's not too far off, because you guys are really going to think I'm crazy. Because you ask my lovely wife Tracy anytime, she'll tell you that I will go outside and I will literally talk to all the animals around us, including the insects. I have this one friend that comes to greet me every time I go outside. Every spring and summer, he's around, and he's a bumblebee. And I named him Buddy the Bumblebee. And, and Buddy literally will come around
All
me.
right, somebody get the phone out here.
He'll buzz around me
We're gonna turn him in.
constantly, right? And what he'll do though is he'll keep the wasps and stuff away from me and the yellow jackets. He protects me because I talk to him. I interact with him. I talk to him just like he is you and I talking, you know. And that's the way
we said earlier, William, about people raising plants. You know, you might remember we said this on the show previously. They talk to them. They pay attention to them. When you give something your attention, it's usually going to give it back to you. You know,
exactly.
And I've done that too. I've talked to animals. You know, almost as if they're like, you know, they're a person. To me,
exactly.
they are in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Marty?
Well, I think my love for nature started when I was very, very young because my grandfather had he had an elaborate greenhouse, and I grew up in the cornfields of Indiana, so in the wintertime it was like my favorite place to be because in the wintertime it was warm there and it was beautiful, and he always had African violets and you name it, and he had it, and he just taught me this love of being around and appreciating the beauty of nature. And oh yeah, like he was definitely, he talked to them. It was almost like he had a name for every single plant inside the greenhouse. It was just amazing. And I think that's something that we could also too, is another simple thing we can do is start taking our grandchildren, take them out and show and get, teach them to be appreciative of all of these amazing, beautiful things in the world. I think it's super important. So yeah, I go around talking to the plants and the animals all the time.
They haven't locked any else of us up yet, have they?
Look at what Tracy says about Buddy the Bumblebee. Tracy says he went after another bee that got too close to Jacob and I.
Yeah.
That's Buddy. That's Buddy the Bumblebee.
You adopted there, William. I believe you've been adopted.
Yep. Yep.
Call me that crazy old Indian that's sitting out there talking to plants and animals and insects. I don't know. It really doesn't bother me what people label me as, because I know for fact what's out there, and that when you interact with it on a better scale, on a better, on equal ground, and treat it with respect, it's going to come back at you, So,
and we open ourselves to that. If you open yourself to that, you get a better reception,
Right. That's why I was wondering if maybe we could take and just, talk to the negative energies that are in some of these trees that people talk about, the creepy trees and the trees that are the hanging trees and the satanic trees. I wonder if we actually went to them and I don't know, laid tobacco down, gave a gift, planted flowers around it, or interact with it in a more positive way. If we could change that atmosphere around that tree, so
that sounds to me like something that could very well be possible. I mean, maybe they have been just neglected and not paid any attention to. And wow, that's a really good point. Maybe we should try that.
Yeah, you could go there. You could go there and do a blessing or whatever, and try to get the elementals to come over and heal the land or heal the tree and see how that would work.
I've experienced that with a lot of location cleansings that I've done, and I've done thousands of them, seems like, and you will feel an immediate difference when you know. It's like, and I've often described it this way, and I've seen this happen in stores, in houses, but this also outside too. That it's like somebody opens all the windows and a fresh breeze blows through. You know, it's like
Yeah.
there's a big difference, and you feel it. So sure, I would not doubt that it makes a big difference. Definitely.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, like a complete shift, right? Like an energy shift, right? Just you're cleansing all
Yep.
that negativity out, and then you're bringing in, and you're all the positive and all this like amazing, loving energy.
Hmm.
It has to
Yep.
work. It's got to
Yep.
work.
Yeah.
It's
Because
got to work.
you can tell those types of environmental changes, the dark environmental changes, whether it's a pond or whether it's a stream where you have a dark energy feeling, or a tree or a boulder or something, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you can tell that it's on that dark plane of existence, because the other wildlife doesn't interact with it. You won't see birds making a nest on that kind of a tree. You won't see squirrels trying to gather nuts off of that kind of tree. You take take a glimpse at nature around those trees, and you'll see that there's hardly any activity whatsoever because of the negativity off of that tree.
I've
So
often said, William, I've often said that that's like staining, like a stain on something. You know, it's like a
right,
Yeah.
stain. It can be on
Yeah.
the land. It can be on the land. It can be on an object, and you can
yeah,
erase that stain. You know, just like a stain on your clothing, you could usually get rid of that. And but we're talking about a spiritual stain, like, you know.
right, right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's just like
No,
when we
that's,
do cleansing on our
yeah,
houses, right? When
yeah,
we're getting out all of that negative energy and that any negative attachments, and we're bringing in that positivity and the love, So yeah, yeah,
yeah,
man.
exactly, exactly.
Okay, all right, y'all just blew my mind. Boom.
Well, this is why we talk about these things, Marty. This is why we communicate with each other and try to figure out some of these ways of doing more good to interact with these elementals, these beings, and even the cryptids of the world.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a purpose to all this. Maybe there is some kind of final end to all this that we have to figure out,
Uh huh.
and the only way we're going to figure out is if we have communication like this, and these types
Yep.
of talks to figure it out. So I'm
Absolutely.
a firm believer that our good energy, that our positive energy can affect the environment around us. So I would urge everybody that has that place that's called the devil's chair, or the devil's tree, or the hanging tree, or hell's gate. I would encourage people to take and offer a gift to the land, and to
Mm.
say thank you and hope you heal in a good way, and maybe plant a flower or something, as an offering, and just see what happens. See if we can change that, flip that negativity, and make it into a positive site.
Well,
I'm gonna.
I feel that the universe is the universal law of negative and positive there on in everything. Okay, and sometimes the negative tries to overwhelm the positive. But if we kind of work with the positive, in reverse, it
Mm-hmm.
makes a difference. Don't you think so, Marty?
I definitely agree. And I'm gonna talk to Matt. I'm gonna talk to him about this conversation we had today, and maybe we will definitely give this a try, and we will let you guys know. That is,
That'd be great.
and
If you guys could videotape that, that would be great. That would be a really
yeah,
good.
You know,
That would be
you ought to
something to
get
see.
gotta get your whole team together and see if you can encircle the tree, Marty, and do the cleansing and the healing of the land, and try to bring up the elementals, to help.
I'm telling you guys, I have chills right now. Oh wow. We got to see if we can get this to work.
And I'm gonna do
And
that.
then we're going to
I'm
call
gonna
it,
do
and
that.
then we're going to call it, we're not calling it the Devil's Tree anymore. We're going to call it the Land of Positivity.
Yeah. Or
There you go. Change the title.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
The Tree of Enlightenment.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
There you
Oh
go.
my
That's a
God.
good name.
Yes.
Here's what I do usually in that situation. I will take sea salt, and go around something in a circle and call forth the goodness of the earth itself to witness what's going on. That's the way you kind of handle it. You kind of do like a ritual, a ceremony around it, and you rename it. You know what I'm saying? You rename it, retitle it, or whichever way you want to put it. I think that would be what would do it.
Right. Okay, guys.
Yep.
I'm gonna see if we can. I'm gonna see if we can do that. I'm gonna definitely.
I think that would be
challenge
that would be
accepted.
fascinating. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
so fascinating, Marty. If you guys could record that, that would be awesome to see. I'm gonna see if I can do that here locally too, and probably on a smaller scale since it's just me and Tracy. But yeah, I'm gonna try that as much as I can and see what I can come up with. So
Okay.
Now we when we do the cleansing of our property and stuff, obviously you can't cover every bit with salt, So
right.
we get in our prayer mode or our higher consciousness, mode, and we imagine in our minds and actually see purifying salt just covering our whole property. And you could probably do that with the tree, cover the tree in salt, cover the ground in salt in your mind and project that onto the land.
Well, light. Replace that salt with light. I've often told people you envision that circle of light that comes from the goodness and the good things of this universe. You use that as a force,
Yep, exactly.
And that force of positivity and love is always going to win and always going to like make the difference, and it's going to it has to, right? Love and
Yes.
light always conquers evil and negativity. So yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Raven
what I was
Creek
saying,
Charms.
about that. That's what I said about that positive and negative trying to, overbalance each other. You got to get the balance right, That's what it's about.
Yep. Yeah, Raven Creek Charm says, Marty, be sure to do a protective energy shield session around you and your team before you all
Yeah, you
perform
do
the
that
seal.
first, definitely. Protect yourself going in and coming out. Always do that, definitely. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Good advice.
Yeah, because there's the old I don't know what it is, but where they have the sin eaters, where they absorb the negative energy to get rid of it from an object or a place or whatever. So you want to be careful that you don't go in there and actually have that come to you instead of getting rid of it and casting it out into the nether.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with Jules 100% too, where she says good will always win. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
so light'll always
The
conquer
force
evil.
of positive. The force of positive in this universe is so much stronger, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times stronger than the negative, and we have to realize that. The negative doesn't want us to know that, by the way.
Exactly.
But that's the truth.
Well, I
exactly.
appreciate you guys having me on today. It's been an amazing experience, and light and love to all of you. And thank you guys so much for giving me so much wisdom and so much positivity and love. And I just love you guys so much. And thank you all. And
Well, you are family. You're
oh,
family, Marty. Don't ever forget that. Okay. So
okay, I
You know,
won't.
me and Jane love you.
Take care.
And I love you guys so much. Have a
Take care of
wonderful rest
yourself.
of your weekend, and thank you to all of the amazing people that have like served our country, fallen for our country,
yeah.
and light, love, respect, and thank you for your courage and your bravery. And I love you guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All
You
right.
take care.
Love
Thank you,
you.
Marty.
Thanks.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye. What an awesome interview. That's just awesome the way everything's come together, and that's the way it's meant to be. Um, the dark energy tried to keep Dennis away from being part of this conversation, but the light energy won over the darkness and got his lights back on. So that says
That's one
volumes
of my
right there.
favorite biblical passages, William. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it.
Yep, exactly. So I think with that being said, I think this has been a fantastic show. Probably one of the best we've had in a long time. I think we really have our work cut out for us. I'm really going to actually try to do what I just said today with a lot of the dark energy from some of these trees that I see, and interact with them more on a positive level, to see what kind of reaction I get. And if I can get my old video camera to work, and slap a mini cassette in there. I mean, I'm old school, man. I've still got like the kind you put the tape in, and it's just
Yeah,
so.
I got one of those. Yeah, that's an antique. Yeah, yeah.
But just to see what
Like
happens,
us,
sometimes old school works.
I'm an antique too. So there you go.
Sometimes the old school stuff works better than the new technology.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's why I kept it. I didn't get rid of it. I said
yeah.
because it was more reliable, the analog, than some of the digital stuff. That's why I
E-
kept it.
e-
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
But
It's one
I
of those
want to.
you got to take the little tape and you put it in the big tape and then put it in a VCR. That's how old this thing is.
I want to say
Luckily, I still
hello
have a
to
VCR.
Jules. Thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to thank Jules and Freaky Geek and Rocky, for coming on. I appreciate y'all in the chat. You guys know that. You guys know that we wouldn't have a family without this chat. This chat is, family. The Weirdo Warrior family is the greatest family anybody can ask for. We have each other's backs. We always try to communicate with each other to keep everybody informed of what's happening, whether it's paranormal or whether it's supernatural, um, you know, or whether it's even a personal crisis. We all try to interact with everybody on a positive way, and it's just the people in the chat are family too, and I want them all to realize that. GZ87, Raven Creek Charms, you know, Marty, all of you, you all are family, okay, and never ever forget that, okay. Um, oh, you're never late. Uh, Demos Mars, you are never late, my friend. Never late. You just hang in
I
there,
like that
and
name. I like that name.
yeah,
Demeo's Mars. Yeah, that's neat.
yeah. And just you can always play it back too. It's sometimes
Oh yeah.
even I will play some of these lives back just to remember certain aspects of it, or to see if there were certain things in the background that happened. Like, and I noticed that G changed his background.
Uh,
That's funny.
You might have been. You might want to enjoy our show yesterday. We did on the Ghost of the Old West.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was
Yeah.
pretty
I
good.
watched part
Yeah.
of it. I did watch part of it. I didn't watch the whole thing yet, but I did watch part of it. I was going to do that today
Yeah.
too. But yeah, I just, I think after this program, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to talk to Buddy the Bee, and I'm going to talk to the plants like I always do. I'm going to
There you
walk.
go.
I'm going to walk around the
See what
back
they
of the
say
house.
back. Let
Yep.
us know. Let us know
Yep.
if they talk back. Okay.
I'm going to walk around the back of the house where I planted a pear tree before I got cancer, and talk to it and let it know that it's not forgotten, because it's out there by itself. Yeah, I'm
And
just going
it's
to see
very
what.
important, William. It's very important that you lay hands on it when you talk to it too. You got to touch it.
Oh,
That's the connection.
oh yeah,
That's the
oh yeah,
connection. Yeah.
yeah. Because you got to use all your senses: your sight, your smell, your voice, everything. You know,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, literally everything. The texture of the plant makes you think a lot and brings about, helps you manifest, more
Yeah.
positive energy.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. Make sure you ground
Exactly.
and get those old bare feet on the ground and feel
yep,
that energy coming up through you.
yep. I don't think I want to walk around outside right now with bare feet, because as big as my feet are, they might think Sasquatch is around. So
Yeah, yeah. People might be tracking the wrong thing there,
yeah,
after a while. But
yeah.
and
I don't know
another
why.
thing about that, Gerald, you don't want to ever go barefoot around sweet gum trees. Remember
Yeah,
that?
Yeah.
yeah.
I know down
That's what.
south you don't go barefoot because of all the fire ants.
That's
Oh
yeah.
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 Oh, yeah.
That's a good. Well, we got them here too. But and
Mhm.
that's what made me a good frog man in the military, is my big feet, because they were like having flippers.
Yeah.
Anyways, anyways, I want to say thank you to everybody for being here. It's going on almost 2 hours, and it's been a long, long weekend. I wish everybody the very best. Everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of our family.
And on
And
on Memorial Day, we want to thank you, William, and all the veterans that have served our country. We want to thank them,
yes, sir.
especially on
Yes,
this
sir.
particular
Absolutely.
Thank
day.
you to all.
Yeah.
Thank you to all the veterans, past, present, and even the future, because some of these young people coming out of high school now are going to go in the
Mhm.
military. So, we thank
Right.
you ahead of time for your courage to enlist and your courage to endure. It is a process. Let nobody tell you that it is easy, because being in the military is not easy. Anybody that's been in the military will tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
If it's a cakewalk, then you're married to a general. but anyways, yeah, we are most respect, most love for all the veterans. And the ones that have passed. I've always said some gave all and all gave some. And that's a saying that I always say. Um, on 4th of July, on Memorial Day, any type Veterans Day. Um, that's what we need to remember, that some did die and some did just give some. But either way, they served our country, they served our nation, they protected us, kept us safe, um, foreign and domestic threats. And we owe them the due respect. We really do.
Well, it's
And
like you said, William. There is no greater love than to lay down your life for another.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very true. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Question everything. Okay. That's what we do. We question everything. That's why we have these conversations. I want to thank you to Nana Boss Marty for coming on. She is fantastic. She has such her and Mark have such a glow about them. that makes them so unforgettable, and remarkable to talk to, and easy to talk to. You know, because
Right.
there's some people that come on that you have to literally pry the words out of them. You know, and then you have some like us who just ham it up and talk about whatever comes around. You know,
Yeah.
so
We ever get Dennis to loosen up and get him to talk.
Yeah, I might be kind of responsible for that. Yeah.
all
I
right,
might be
guys.
known for that a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we love each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. Like, heart, and share this out as much as you can. And please subscribe to our channels. We have right here Midwest Night Watchers on YouTube. We have their channel. Thank you for Rocky for doing this. You know, you're a very, very sweet person for doing this. And but you can subscribe to G's channel. And then you can subscribe to Nighthawk High Strangeness on YouTube. It's something that we need to do. We need to build this community. We need to get the word out, that a lot of these conversations that we're having on a more serious note, are being said for a reason, because we have a lot of healing to do. We really do. And we can either go around this world with blinders on and ignore the healing that needs to go on, or we can step forward and take it upon ourselves to show that light within us and to share that love within us to heal this world. So the choice is ours, everybody. And I hope and I pray we make the right choice. Okay. So to everybody today, thank you to the veterans, past, present, and future. And, thank you to the family in the chat for being here. We love you all very much. God bless everybody, and have a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Thank you all for being here.
Love and peace, everybody.
Take care.